Have you ever wondered what your muscles are doing while you sleep? Most people assume that rest equals recovery, and to some extent, that's true. Sleep is a powerful repair process for the brain and body. But here's the surprising part. Your body doesn't just build muscle while you sleep. It can also break it down. Yes, even if you're eating enough during the day, you may still be losing muscle at night. And the reason has to do with something called overnight catabolism, a natural but problematic process where the body breaks down muscle tissue to meet its energy demands while you're fasting during sleep. Now, this is especially important if you're over 30, when muscle preservation becomes harder due to age, anabolic resistance, and even more so if you're trying to lean out, stay strong, or optimize longevity. Because what most people don't realize is that your muscle mass isn't just about aesthetics or athleticism, it's a lifespan predictor. It's a direct lever for brain health, metabolic regulation, and injury resilience. So the question becomes, is there something simple you can do to protect and even grow muscle while you sleep? The answer is yes. And it starts with a single behavior shift: what you eat in the 30 to 60 minutes before bed. In this episode, we'll explore the neuroscience and physiology behind nighttime nutrition and how the right pre-sleep food taken at the right time can flip the switch from muscle breakdown to muscle building. We'll look at what the research shows about casein, glycine, and leucine, how your circadian rhythm affects muscle protein synthesis, the surprising role of sleep stage timing in muscle recovery, and most importantly, what to eat, how much and when for better strength, recovery, and longevity. This is not about gimmicks or hacks. This is about using your biology wisely with protocols that are simple, science-backed, and highly effective. Let's dive in. Let's start with the biological truth most people don't realize. Your body is in a fasted state for 6-9 hours every night. No calories in, no nutrients circulating, just sleep, and subtle but significant physiological processes running in the background. One of those processes is called catabolism, the breakdown of muscle protein into amino acids, which the body then uses for energy and basic maintenance. It's a normal part of life, but if left unchecked, especially over weeks, months, or years, it can lead to the gradual erosion of lean muscle tissue. And here's the catch: this loss doesn't just happen with age. It happens when the body lacks the resources to maintain an anabolic or muscle building state overnight. This matters because muscle isn't just for strength or aesthetics. It's metabolically active tissue. It acts as a reservoir for glucose, a buffer for inflammation, and a protective organ for your brain and bones. In fact, studies like the one published in the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition, 2014, have shown that greater muscle mass in older adults correlates with lower mortality risk, independent of body fat. So what drives this catabolic state while you sleep? First, there's the hormonal cascade. As night falls, cortisol levels spike slightly in the early morning hours, part of the natural circadian rhythm that prepares you to wake up. While cortisol is necessary in small amounts, it also signals tissue breakdown, particularly if there's no opposing anabolic stimulus like insulin or dietary amino acids. Second, during deep sleep, growth hormone is released, which sounds great for muscle building. But here's the nuance. Without available amino acids, that growth hormone is like a construction crew showing up with no building materials. The signal is there, but the resources are missing. And third, during prolonged overnight fasting, your body begins pulling from internal protein stores, namely your muscle tissue, to sustain essential functions. It's like your system quietly borrowing from your muscle to get through the night. This is where many well-intentioned people, even those training consistently, unknowingly undermine their progress. Let me ask you, have you ever woken up feeling sore or flat, even after a good night's sleep and solid training the day before? That's a sign that your body may not have had enough resources to fully recover, or worse, that it dipped into a mild catabolic state during the night. But here's the good news, and it's crucial. This process is modifiable. You can change your internal environment before sleep in a way that shifts your body from breakdown to build mode. And you don't need to overeat or disrupt your sleep to do it. What the research shows is that a small, targeted dose of specific proteins before bed can significantly reduce overnight muscle degradation and enhance morning recovery. We'll dive into those specific proteins, particularly casein and leucine, in the next section. But for now, understand this. The absence of fuel is a signal, and your body interprets that signal as preserve what's essential, burn what's expendable. Unfortunately, muscle is often on the chopping block unless you intervene. So rather than letting sleep be a passive fast, you can make it an active recovery window, a time where your physiology works for you, not against you. Coming up next, we'll look at one of the most well-researched and powerful tools to support that shift, casein protein, and why consuming it before bed might be one of the simplest muscle-preserving habits you can build. Imagine this. You give your muscles everything they need during the day: protein, resistance training, proper recovery. But when night falls, you unknowingly leave the construction site unmanned. No materials, no tools, just a signal for growth with nothing to support it. That's the missed opportunity most people face when they don't leverage pre-sleep nutrition. Now let's talk about one of the most effective science-backed tools to fix this: casein protein. Casein is one of the two main proteins found in milk, the other being whey. But unlike whey, which digests rapidly and spikes amino acid levels for just 2-3 hours, casein digests slowly, releasing amino acids steadily over 6 to 8 hours. That makes it uniquely suited for fueling the body during sleep when no other nutrients are coming in. What's happening in your body when this occurs is fascinating. After you ingest casein, it forms a gel-like substance in the stomach. This slows gastric emptying and provides a gradual trickle of essential amino acids into the bloodstream, including leucine, isoleucine, and valine, the key players in muscle maintenance and repair. In a landmark study published in Medicine and Science in Sports and Exercise 2012, researchers found that consuming 40 grams of casein protein 30 minutes before sleep significantly increased overnight muscle protein synthesis compared to a placebo. Not only that, but the protein was efficiently digested and absorbed even during sleep. Another randomized controlled trial published in Frontiers in Nutrition 2019 confirmed these findings. Subjects who consumed casein before bed experienced greater muscle hypertrophy and strength gains over a 12-week resistance training program than those who didn't. But here's where it gets practical. You don't necessarily need a full meal or a massive shake. Simple protocol can be 30-40 grams of micellar casein protein, consumed tilte 30 minutes before bed, mixed with water or a small amount of unsweetened almond or dairy milk. If you're plant-based, a blended plant protein with a slow release profile like pea and rice can work, though casein is still considered the gold standard for overnight use. Now, you might be wondering, won't eating before bed ruin my sleep or spike insulin? In fact, small amounts of protein, especially casein, do not disrupt sleep architecture. For most people, quite the opposite. The amino acid glycine, naturally present in casein, has been shown in studies, Neuropsychopharmacology 2007, to improve sleep quality, lower body temperature, and support deeper sleep stages. We'll explore that more in the next section. For now, just consider this. If you're training hard, managing stress, and optimizing your habits, don't let sleep become a missed opportunity for recovery. A small change in what you consume before bed can create a meaningful shift in how your body repairs and grows overnight. And if this insight is helping you, consider subscribing. This channel is about giving you real science-backed tools to build a stronger mind and body, and we've got much more coming that you won't want to miss. Let's keep going. Up next, we'll talk about your circadian rhythm and how your internal clock affects not just your sleep, but your muscle metabolism. Understanding this rhythm can help you better time your workouts, your meals, and your recovery for maximum effect. Your muscles have a clock. That might sound strange, but it's true. Just like your brain, your gut, and even your liver, your muscle tissue operates on a circadian rhythm, an internal 24-hour timing system that anticipates when to activate specific genes based on the time of day. Why does this matter? Because the timing of your behaviors, especially food intake and sleep, can either support or disrupt your muscle's natural rhythm for repair and growth. Let's unpack this. Your central circadian clock lives in a brain structure called the suprachiasmatic nucleus, or SCN. It's located in the hypothalamus and synchronizes to light, which is why sunlight in the morning is one of the most powerful regulators of your sleep-wake cycle. But here's where it gets fascinating. Your muscles have their own peripheral clocks, and they're not reset by light. They're reset by movement, nutrients, and feeding times. This means that when you train and when you eat sends signals to your muscle tissue, essentially telling it it's time to grow, it's time to repair, or in the absence of those cues, it's time to conserve energy. Research published in Cell Reports 2019 showed that disrupting normal feeding times, like eating late at night or skipping meals after training, can desynchronize these peripheral clocks. The result? Impaired protein synthesis, reduced glucose uptake, and slower muscle recovery. Even more compelling, a 2021 study in the Journal of Physiology found that the muscle's sensitivity to amino acids and insulin fluctuates throughout the day and peaks in the evening, right before sleep. This means your body may actually be more primed to use protein for muscle building at night than at other times. But it's not just about when you eat, it's also about when you sleep. Sleep timing affects the release of key anabolic hormones, including testosterone, growth hormone, and IGF-1. These hormones follow circadian patterns and are most active during deep sleep, especially during the first 2 sleep cycles. So here's the practical takeaway. If you want to optimize your overnight recovery, you don't just need the right protein, you need to align your behaviors with your body's internal rhythm. Here's a simple framework to support circadian aligned muscle repair. Train earlier in the day if possible. Late afternoon is ideal for strength and performance. Eat your last protein-rich meal or shake within 60 minutes of going to bed. Keep sleep and wake times consistent, even on weekends. Variability of more than 1 hour can disrupt hormonal rhythms. Get bright light exposure within 30-60 minutes of waking to anchor your central clock. These may seem like small lifestyle adjustments, but the data is clear. Timing influences outcomes. When you align your eating and sleeping patterns with your body's biology, you unlock more efficient recovery without doing more, just doing smarter. Think of it this way. Your body is always listening. It's responding to the cues you give it through light, movement, food, and rest. If you train hard but eat too late or sleep inconsistently, you may be unknowingly working against your own biology. But when you sync those inputs, the results compound. Better muscle retention, better energy, and better sleep. In the next section, we'll look at a specific amino acid that supports all 3. Glycine. It doesn't just support muscle repair, it also improves sleep quality and deepens the very sleep stages where your body rebuilds. When we talk about recovery, we often focus on training volume, protein intake, or supplements like creatine, but one of the most overlooked tools for improving muscle repair and brain function is an amino acid that's been quietly studied for decades, glycine. Glycine is classified as a non-essential amino acid, meaning your body can produce it on its own. But here's the nuance. Under high physical stress, like intense training, sleep deprivation, or injury, your demand for glycine exceeds your body's ability to make it. In this context, it becomes conditionally essential. And here's where things get interesting. Glycine plays a powerful dual role. it enhances muscle repair, and improves sleep quality. Let's break that down. First, from a muscular perspective, glycine is a critical building block of collagen, the most abundant protein in your body. Collagen forms the connective tissue around your muscles, ligaments, and tendons, and is essential for strength, flexibility, and recovery from micro tears caused by training. A 2016 study in Amino Acids Journal showed that glycine supplementation supported reduced markers of muscle damage and improved joint resilience in resistance-trained individuals. This isn't just cosmetic, it's structural. But glycine's impact on the nervous system is where it really shines at night. Unlike most amino acids that act as building blocks, glycine is also a neurotransmitter. And it works by increasing parasympathetic tone, which is the calming branch of your autonomic nervous system. Think of it as the brake pedal for stress. In a placebo-controlled trial published in Neuropsychopharmacology 2007, participants who took 3 grams of glycine before bed experienced faster sleep onset, they fell asleep quicker, deeper sleep, more time in slow wave sleep, and greater next day alertness and cognitive performance. These are not minor benefits. Deep sleep is when your pituitary gland releases the most growth hormone, which triggers tissue repair, immune function, and fat metabolism. Glycine enhances that window. But what's the mechanism? Glycine promotes vasodilation. It expands blood vessels slightly, reducing core body temperature. This drop in core temp is a well-known trigger for initiating deep sleep. By calming the nervous system and cooling the body, glycine essentially primes your brain and muscles to shift into recovery mode. So how can you use it? Here's a practical glycine protocol to support overnight recovery. 3 extra 5 grams of glycine powder or capsules taken 30-60 minutes before bed. Optional, pair it with your casein shake or a warm caffeine-free tea. If you prefer a food-based option, you can also get glycine from collagen peptides, 10 to 15 grams, bone broth or gelatin-based snacks, low sugar ideally. You might be asking, will this make me groggy? Not at all. Glycine doesn't sedate, it enhances natural sleep quality. You'll likely feel more refreshed, not more sluggish. And if you're finding value in these kinds of deep dive, science-backed strategies, consider liking this video and subscribing to the channel. We're building a community that values knowledge, performance, and long-term health. And your support helps us grow and reach more people like you. Coming up next, we're going to address the often ignored factor that can sabotage overnight muscle retention, even if you're doing everything else right. Chronic nighttime cortisol. It's subtle, but elevated stress hormones at night can derail your recovery in ways that are easy to miss, and we'll cover tools to fix it. You can nail your training, eat the right protein before bed, and still wake up feeling inflamed, fatigued, or under-recovered. Why? Because your body wasn't in a recovery state during the night. It was in a stress state. This is the silent threat to overnight muscle maintenance, elevated nighttime cortisol. Cortisol gets a bad reputation, but is not inherently harmful. In fact, you need it, especially in the morning. It helps regulate energy, attention, and immune function. But the timing of cortisol release is everything. Cortisol follows a diurnal pattern, meaning it should rise in the morning to wake you up and fall at night to allow your body to enter a state of rest and repair. But here's the problem. For many people, especially those under consistent emotional, psychological, or metabolic stress, cortisol stays elevated into the evening hours. And this can severely impair sleep quality, reduce growth hormone release, and promote muscle breakdown overnight. Here's what the research shows. A 2013 paper in the Journal of Clinical Endocrinology and Metabolism found that individuals with elevated cortisol levels at night had decreased slow wave sleep, impaired memory consolidation, and higher nighttime glucose levels, all markers of an anabolic process being disrupted. In terms of muscle, cortisol is a catabolic hormone, meaning it breaks tissue down for fuel, That's useful when you're running from a predator, not so useful when you're lying in bed trying to repair muscle from your last workout. One of the primary ways cortisol affects muscle is by reducing protein synthesis and increasing proteolysis, the breakdown of muscle proteins for energy. And when cortisol is high during the night, that breakdown can happen precisely when the body is supposed to be rebuilding. So what can we do about it? The solution isn't to eliminate cortisol, is to help it follow its natural rhythm by managing pre-sleep stress and environmental inputs. Here's a framework to reduce nighttime cortisol and support anabolic sleep. Light management. Cortisol is highly sensitive to light. Bright light exposure at night, especially blue light from screens, can trick your brain into thinking it's still daytime, keeping cortisol elevated. A simple tool to apply is dim your lights 60 to 90 minutes before bed. Use warm tone lighting or blue light blocking glasses after sunset. Evening breathwork or parasympathetic activation, a short 5-10 minute session of cyclic, sighing, box breathing, or yoga nidra can lower cortisol significantly. Studies from Stanford and UCLA have shown that slow, rhythmic breathing reduces amygdala reactivity and lowers salivary cortisol levels, often within minutes. Caffeine has a half-life of 5-6 hours, so even an afternoon coffee can keep cortisol elevated, and large meals, especially high-carb ones, eaten too close to bed, can dysregulate insulin and cortisol rhythms. Aim to finish your final meal at least 60 minutes before bed, unless it's a light protein shake, like we covered earlier. Create a cortisol cutoff ritual. Your brain needs psychological cues that the day is over. One powerful tool is to set a consistent wind down time where you put your phone down, stop checking email, and transition into low stimulation activities, reading, journaling, stretching. This signals to your nervous system the threat is gone. It's safe to recover now. Here's the empowering truth. You can train your nervous system to shift out of survival mode and into repair mode. It's not about being stress-free, it's about building habits that signal safety and letting your physiology do the rest. In the next section, we'll bring it all together with a simple nightly protocol, combining everything we've discussed into one actionable routine that you can start using tonight to stop muscle loss and enhance recovery while you sleep. At this point, you've seen the science. Your body is not idle during sleep. It's rebuilding tissue, recalibrating hormones, and if you give it the right inputs, preserving and even enhancing muscle mass overnight. But if you don't, cortisol stays elevated, protein synthesis slows, and your hard-earned muscle becomes fuel broken down to meet stress demands or compensate for poor nutrient timing. That's why we're ending with a consolidated protocol, a nightly rhythm that incorporates the tools we've discussed into a single practical system you can use starting tonight. Let's call it the Sleep Muscle Sync Protocol, a sequence of behaviors that align your circadian biology, reduce catabolic hormones, and optimize recovery and muscle maintenance while you sleep. Here's what it looks like. 1, cut off stimulants by 2 p.m. Caffeine, even when it doesn't feel like it affects you, can linger in your system and blunt melatonin production, disrupting both sleep onset and deep sleep quality. Stick to water, herbal teas, or decaf after early afternoon. If you train late in the day, consider non-stimulant pre-workouts like L-citrulline or beta-alanine if needed. 2, last meal, 60-90 minutes before bed. With casein and glycine, your body needs amino acids during sleep to drive protein synthesis and tissue repair. But the type of protein matters. Consume 30-40 g of casein protein, either from a shake or from whole food sources like Greek yogurt or cottage cheese. Add 3 to 5 g of glycine to support deeper sleep and lower core body temperature. Optional, mix the glycine into a calming herbal tea like chamomile or lemon balm for added relaxation. 3, dim the lights, drop the screen's artificial light in the evening tells your brain It's daytime that suppresses melatonin and keeps cortisol elevated. 1 hour before bed, lower your lights, switch to warm tones, and limit screen use. If you're using devices, wear blue light blocking glasses or enable night shift modes. This simple shift enhances melatonin output and supports your body's natural sleep cascade. 4. Parasympathetic wind down ritual, 10 minutes. To cue recovery mode, you need to activate your parasympathetic nervous system, the rest and digest side of your brain. Options include cyclic sighing, inhale through the nose, then a second short inhale, followed by a long exhale. Repeat for 5-10 cycles. Box breathing, inhale 4 sec, hold 4 sec, exhale 4 sec, hold 4 sec, or try a brief Yoga Nidra audio session available for free online. These tools lower nighttime cortisol, support emotional regulation, and improve next day readiness. 5. Sleep at the same time every night. Consistency isn't just discipline, it's biological optimization. When your brain knows when to expect sleep, it initiates more efficient growth hormone release and aligns muscular repair processes. Set a lights out target window, ideally between 9:30 and 11 o'clock p.m. Wake up within the same 60-minute range daily, even on weekends. This reinforces circadian alignment, which amplifies all the benefits of the previous steps. So here's your nightly checklist. No caffeine after 2 p.m. Last meal equals slow digesting protein plus glycine. Dim lights and screens 1 hour before bed. Breathwork or wind down routine. Consistent sleep and wake times. Simple, yes, but also profoundly effective because each step is rooted in how your brain, hormones, and muscles actually function. You're not hacking sleep, you're honoring your biology. And when you do, your body responds with better sleep, better recovery, and preserved muscle, even during periods of fat loss, stress, or heavy training. Coming up in the final section, we'll recap all the tools we've covered and leave you with a single, powerful challenge to implement tonight so that the science becomes transformation. By now, you understand a powerful but often overlooked truth. What you do in the final 90 minutes before sleep can determine how much muscle you lose or keep overnight. This isn't just about macros or gym performance. It's about aligning your biology with your goals, your habits with your hormones, and your evening routine with your long-term vitality. Let's recap the key scientific insights we covered. Muscle isn't maintained by default, especially during sleep, when cortisol can rise and amino acids become scarce. Without intervention, you're likely to drift into a mild catabolic state. Slow digesting protein, particularly casein, provides a steady amino acid stream throughout the night. It buffers against muscle breakdown and fuels growth, especially when taken 60 minutes before bed. Leucine is the ignition switch for muscle synthesis. A modest dose alongside your casein source helps maximize the anabolic response, even in a fasted state like sleep. Glycine, a simple amino acid, supports muscle and joint repair and also enhances deep sleep by lowering core body temperature and activating parasympathetic pathways in the brain. Cortisol rhythm matters. High nighttime cortisol, driven by light exposure, stress, or poor wind down habits, can severely impair growth hormone release and drive muscle proteolysis. And finally, by layering all these tools into a nightly sleep muscle sync protocol, you can dramatically improve how your body repairs, recovers, and grows while you sleep. But the deeper lesson here is this: your biology responds to patterns. The body isn't confused, it's just following the cues you give it. If you go to bed amped, scrolling, and underfed, your brain gets the message. We're still in survival mode. But if you feed it properly, lower the lights, slow your breath, and step into a consistent rhythm, the signal changes. It's safe. It's time to rebuild. So tonight, try it. Start simple. Make your last meal. Include 30 grams of casein or a casein-rich food, add a scoop of glycine, dim the lights, and take just 5 minutes to breathe slowly intentionally. You don't need to be perfect. You need to be consistent. And when you stack these behaviors, the science will compound in your favor, improving not just muscle retention, but your focus, energy, and emotional resilience over time. If this kind of content is resonating with you, if you appreciate the blend of neuroscience, performance, and practical tools, I'd love for you to be part of this growing community. Like this video, leave a comment with the one tool you'll try tonight, and subscribe to stay up to date with future protocols designed to elevate your mind and body. We're not here to hype. We're here to build. With grounded science, real habits, and a long game mindset for health. Because the better you sleep, the better you repair. And the better you repair, the more momentum you build in every area of your life. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.